What do peace signs, passport stamps, and digital nomads have in common? Is expat life today what the hippie movement was back in the 60s? What if I told you the hippie movement never really ended? It just got a passport and moved abroad. Maybe to Indonesia like me. Seriously, have you looked at today's expats? They're living off grid, working at the beach, and giving up the hustle of the 9 to 5 grind. If you've ever wondered where the spirit of the 60s went, or why so many people are ditching the 9 to 5 routine and chasing freedom abroad, stick around because I'm asking and hopefully answering the question: have American expats taken their hippie style to Indonesia? Think about this. I hear people complaining all the time about what's going on in the world. And to be honest, my first reaction is often to agree. I've even caught myself saying more than once, oh, back in the late 60s and early 70s, it really felt like the world was heading in the right direction. Yes, I was a young adult during a time that, I look back on with nostalgia. There was this wave of hope, activism, and connection that seemed to pull people together. But these days, well, it often feels like we've lost our way again. But then I started to look a little closer at how expats are living here in Indonesia. I started noticing the new ways that people are reconnecting with those same values we held dear back then. And I thought, maybe the hippie vibe hasn't disappeared at all. Maybe it's just grown up, changed clothes, and come to Indonesia, like me. Hi, I'm Kate. I'm an introvert expat living in Indonesia, and I make videos about living the best life you can. Whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, an expat, a retiree, a digital nomad, whatever. I hope you'll leave a comment with your thoughts about this topic down below the video. So yeah, I asked myself, is the hippie vibe still alive in 2025? And honestly, I think maybe it is. The new hippies aren't always wearing tie-dye, although it does seem to come back into style every few years. But you might not recognize the modern day hippie at first glance. These days, they might be wearing yoga pants, hiking boots, batik like me. They might work remotely from a sunny cafe in Costa Rica or a beach town in Bali. But that spirit of freedom, simplicity, and purpose is still very much alive. And the clearest way I see it is in the growing wave of people becoming expats, especially the ones I see here in Indonesia. Estimates show that over 8 million Americans live overseas, and approximately 20,000 of those Americans have chosen to live in Indonesia. Some have come for work, but many who have chosen Indonesia as their expat home are retirees and digital nomads. The number of people leaving their home countries to live abroad has been climbing steadily, and while they might not call themselves hippies, a lot of them are chasing something that feels very familiar to me: freedom and the chance to live life on their own terms. So becoming an expat may just be the hippie spirit of today. The original hippies dropped out of the system to protest war, materialism, and conformity. Today's expats, especially those moving to places like Indonesia, with simpler lifestyles and lower costs of living are doing something similar. They're not escaping the world, they're just choosing a different one. They're stepping away from the hustle and burnout model that says more is always better, bigger is always better. Instead, they're trading in corporate ladders and big mortgages for slower mornings, community markets, and walks by the sea or in the mountains. Some want adventure, others want peace or safety, or just an escape from their usual routine. But the common thread is this: they're seeking a life that feels more real, more meaningful, and more free. That was the basic idea of the hippie movement. So maybe the values are still alive and well. Let's review them for a moment. First is peace. Original hippies protested war and preached peace. Today, expats are often choosing peace in their personal lives. Less noise, less stress, more emotional space. It may not be about the seeming unattainable desire for world peace anymore. Now it's about inner peace. And many find it by stepping into cultures with gentler rhythms and fewer expectations. Next is sustainability. A lot of expats these days are quietly living out the values that the hippies used to shout about, especially when it comes to caring for the environment. Instead of overconsumption, many are choosing simpler, greener ways of living. Whether it means buying from local markets or growing a few veggies in the backyard, it's not an effort to be trendy. It's about living more simply. And guess what? It's a lot easier and cheaper to live sustainably in many parts of Indonesia and other Southeast Asian countries than it is in big Western cities. And then there's love and acceptance. Living abroad naturally stretches your worldview. You encounter different ways of thinking, dressing, celebrating, and simply being. And the more you experience the differences, the more open and accepting you become. And you realize that the hippie value of love and acceptance is alive and well. And then there's that inner journey that I mentioned. Expat life is an inner journey disguised as an outer one. Do you understand what I mean? Changing your outer environment and being in a new culture, away from everything familiar, forces you to look at yourself in a new way. You discover who you are without all the labels and expectations. Just like the hippies explored consciousness through meditation, psychedelics, and spiritual seeking, modern expats are doing the same through minimalism, healing retreats, and just everyday reflection about themselves. So let me paint you a picture of the real life signs of the modern hippie vibe. Let's say you're walking through a traditional market in Yogyakarta or Bali. You'll see organic produce, handmade crafts, and the vendors will treat you like a friend. Yes, my lifestyle here is rooted in choice, connection, and simplicity. It's the hippie spirit, just updated. But don't expect perfection. No, it's not all perfect, of course. There are still contradictions. Some expats romanticize the places they move to without taking into consideration the local struggles. And sometimes expats gather together in communities that become little bubbles of privilege. But even so, the core of choosing the expat lifestyle still holds value. Deciding to live differently takes guts. It requires self-inquiry, flexibility, and heart. And let's face it, being a modern hippie isn't about escaping the world. It's about choosing how you want to participate in it. So, what about you? When you think about the hippie vibe, freedom, peace, authenticity, do you feel that in your life? Even a little? Maybe you've left the corporate grind for freelance work. Maybe you've planted a garden in your backyard. Maybe you've been thinking about moving abroad, simplifying, slowing down. Those little nudges, that's your inner hippie tapping you on the shoulder. You don't have to wear beads or chant mantras, though no judgment if you do. The real question is, are you living in a way that feels aligned, conscious, and free? Because that's the heart of it. And that's something anyone, anywhere, can choose to cultivate. So my final thought is that the hippie spirit has a passport. The hippie vibe isn't gone. It's just got global. It hopped on a flight, found a rice field or a coastal village, or maybe even a volcano like where I live, and started building a quiet revolution from the ground up. It still sings the same tune, freedom, peace, connection, but now in a new way with a broader audience. So yes, I believe the hippie spirit is still alive today. It's hanging out in new places, it's doing remote work in hammocks, and yes, it's living abroad many times in the places where people can truly choose a different lifestyle. The vibe didn't die, it just grew wings. How about you? Are you a hippie at heart? Please leave a comment and share this video with a friend who needs to hear these ideas. Until next time, bye.